Leo, thank you very much for joining me. Polina, chatting to you a little bit about the year 2022 and what is going on. So, the main risk or the risky business is not knowing you. So, if you are one of those Leos that is scratching your head, you are sitting down at a computer, you are over planning it, you are over tweaking it, you're thinking way too much, you're thinking so much. Or if you're just like starting to lose hair, for example, a great sign of stress, okay, and anxiety. If you are feeling like, wow, what's gonna go, wow, I need to get all the predictions, I now need to see every single psychic and what they say, you have to make sure you have a large field in which you can just dance. So why is this? Is because you don't have any maybe certainty, and that means that you don't have the right impulses. So when it's time to punch, you don't punch, or when it's time to go, you don't go. If you don't have any real impulses, means you don't quite trust who you are. If you have a lot of Leo in you and you're just sitting back and you're thinking, wow, I need to really mull this out, I really need to prepare, you don't have anything. So basically the thing is, if you have a lot of Leo, don't sit there. Don't sit and wait, and make sure that you're not overthinking or overdrawing things, especially if you like to plan things too much. Some of the best designers I've seen in my life do things overnight. So like they kind of go about their world, and also they're usually very happy to be curious people, and then the assignment is closed, and then they make something very fast, and they usually get a really good response. So this is the way that it is better. So maybe if you are somebody who is in school or was in school, probably, you can probably imagine, a lot of us get taught to make workbooks and to show our process. I spent 4-5 weeks designing this, or I've spent so many hours on this essay. Don't do this. The best thing is to do the opposite. Some of the better people for the job are the ones that do it overnight. Some of the better people are the ones that don't do any preparation. They don't have any notes. They don't have any backup plan either. They're just like, I don't know, I'm just going to wing it. And that's because they're the best at it. So if you have a very, very good talent or very good side to you, it's likely something you can do at a drop of a hat. So if you are a very, very good designer, if you're a really, really good person for a certain job, if you have a certainty about you, it's because you already have the muscle. You've already trained your muscle, and you probably are already very good at it. So as a concept developer, or as a visionary, or a gift, you are a gift. All Leos are a gift. You have it in you to just draw it up very fast and make it real. And if you don't do anything to that potential, maybe there are other things that you don't recognize about yourself, or that society doesn't recognize, that you are really, 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 really good at. Maybe it's just being a really good listener. Maybe it's just being a really good friend. Maybe you're a really good party person. Maybe you're just funny. Maybe there are ways in which you are great. But there are only some ways you can apply yourself. So this is the thing. Being great is great, but also having a certain way that you can do things only now. So maybe there's a little community that likes you for what you're doing. Maybe there's a little family that loves you for what you're doing. Maybe there is only a certain type of business model that suits you. And the thing here basically is not to sit there anywhere and wait for things to make sense, because there's not really a way to predict things. For example, you're working with investment, you're working with markets, it's difficult to know what is going on. Very hard. So the thing here is basically not to count on your logic here. Either you're playing the game or you're not playing the game. So why I'm talking about investment as well is because we're going to have some crazy stuff happen with money and other things during this and the later years. So like there is no real truth to it sometimes, and we don't have to be kind of boring and trying to work it out. Like, oh gosh, I need to get back to my computer, I need to get back to my account. You don't want to do it because you don't know what's going on. But now you do have a very, very crazy thing that you do, and it's probably amazing every time. Like every time you juggle, every time you have sex, every time you talk in front of people, or every time you drive a car, or like every time you plan something, or every time you garden, or every time you cook, or every time you're working on your vehicle, or every time you do a massage, you do a really, really, really good job. So there is something about you that just knows its way, at least in one or two things, so you know your way. Make sure that you don't clog your mind up with things, how they used to be, how they should have been, especially if you have a lot of anxiety about things that are not going on the same way that they were in the world. So you're looking at accounts, you're looking at your bank, you're looking at your wife, you're looking at your friends, you're looking at your family, you don't know what is going on. It's like a completely different world. Even though it's a scary world and it's hard to get your footing right sometimes, or to say the right things, you know what to do if you know who you are. So every Leo right now has a place in society, and that's just obvious to me now. Every Leo has a perfect place to be. So they all have something or somebody that just really loves them there, and there's like no real shame to it. There's no shame, so there's no shame. It's like you have friends that fully accept and appreciate you. Now, you have places where people want to see your face. You have certainty somewhere, and that's a really, really good enough feeling. There are people that know you. They know your product, they know your brand, they know who you are, they know what you bring. So there is a certainty and a certain type of safety in this, and that is going to be great. So right now it looks like a tiny little raft for most of us with Leo aspects. So what I'm saying is that, sometimes when we look at the possibility wheel, it looks so small. We can't believe that this client, just one client, or this tiny little client base is going to grow, but it will. So right now you're in the raft. It's not a giant cruise ship, it's a tiny raft in the sea. And sometimes it's okay. And also when it comes to knowledge, learning and changing your life, as Tiger Year would provide ample opportunity to do, it's not really trying to understand things and making your raft a boat when it's not meant to be one just yet. It is just about writing it out. It's like, okay, look, my accounts are through the window, my marriage is on the rocks, my children don't talk to me, but you know what? I'm really good at squash. And I have like 5 or 6 friends that love playing squash with me. Great, play squash. That's it, okay? Just for the while. It's a no-brainer. But there's like an unsophisticated thing about it. It's like, what do you mean I'm just this? What do you mean? Like, what do you mean? Like, say, after hours, of this. Like, after all of this time I've spent at university, after my, 7-year marriage, what do you mean I'm just going to play squash? It's like, yeah, that's it. Like, you just need to basically place it on the strong part, which is boring but fun for everybody. There's something about you that is way boring for you, but it's amazing, and everybody wants to play along. So like, say for example, if you're really good at talking, everybody wants to hear you now. If you know that it's part of your nature, if you're competitive also, and if you can even make things up as you go, you can rhyme as you go, you can play a tune as you go, you can rap a song if you want. There is something about something you're doing that is very, very extraordinary, but it is so almighty to you. Other people love it. So even if you have only just one person supporting you, even if you have only 3 people that love who you are, or love how outstandingly funny or curious or clever you are, even if you have the tiniest, smallest, like the tiniest, smallest percentage, of what you thought you'd have by now, even if you are not as famous or as well equipped for the rough seas ahead. It seems like rough seas, right? It is going to take you through, even if you have one client. Yep, even if you have very little money, even if you don't have anybody supporting you that you want to support you, you're gonna do it, baby, and you're gonna do it good. So this is one of the luckiest things for us all to hear and see happening in the world right now. Even if you don't have anybody in the industry that knows you, they will. So that's the thing. Unless you are not good at something and you're pushing on it. So this is something that sometimes happens in certain cultures as well, in belief systems. People love going places they're not meant to be. They're not invited, but they want to go. Come on. Hey guys. Hey. hey, and then we don't really get anything done. So this is the thing, if you really want to, you can just invest in that one thing that you do and make your life heaven now. So for example, as in the previous example, okay, wife is not working, work's not working, kids not working, okay, squash, you play really good squash. It's like a kind of a tennis thing. You know, fine, play squash. And maybe from that will come another marriage. Maybe from that will come another union. Maybe you will have new friends come to you. Maybe other things will happen too. So you don't have to, or it will at least diffuse the things that happen in your home. You don't have to keep on contributing to the stuff that hurts you. You know? So one of the reasons why things are going a little bleak and hard to manage, because you don't really like this stuff, but you've done it, you know, like you don't want to do it, but it's hurting you, and it's fine and kind of not fine and not good, I don't know. So you don't really know what you want unless you are in the game. So for example, unless you are singing, you don't even know who you are, what you're doing. Unless you are cooking, you don't know who you are, what you're doing. That one thing, small thing, it's a no-brainer to you, but you're so good at it. You're like a god at it. And maybe you only have one or two people that know, you know, and this is probably the hardest part, is like, well, I'm like 37, what do you mean I've got to like start my career now? Yep, start your career now, even though you don't really want to. And even though you only have one or two people that provide you energy or time, it's a no-brainer. There's a little heaven. There's a little heaven, there's a little universe where you are. And if you know that, that's fantastic. You can stop the video now anytime. There is a little piece of heaven with you. And it's real. And it's really true. There is just not that many people that know of it. So it's kind of like a secret cabin. You know, so it's like a secret thing, it's a secret wish, or there's just a slice of sugary cake, like just sweetness of life that is in you happening, but because it is not very popular, famous, or it hasn't been destroyed yet, hasn't been harvested from yet, it hasn't been enjoyed by too many people, you haven't been paid for it, or you haven't felt like you've gotten successful at it, you might not recognize it. Can you imagine that? Just because it hasn't been rebuilt by somebody else's idea, it hasn't been swallowed up by a brand, it hasn't yet been devastated, you don't believe in it. So make it okay that you are proud and happy about this virginal space. So virginal spaces, not a lot of people get to see you there, but you're there and you're the master of it. There is a virginal territory. There's only the one person that knows you do something. There's only the 2-3 clients that you know. There's only the one very clean and clear. I would like you to rejoice and respect yourselves. Wow, like wow, I made this little heaven, and somehow through enjoyment, you know, through playing or through love or through something, I made a little piece of heaven in my life, and it is beyond this world. This is a very lucky thing for us, Leo people. You have something that is beyond the world, even though the world has 8 billion or 9 billion people in it, whatever. I mean, can you imagine the people they're not counting? Like, probably like close to 10 billion. It is close to 10 billion people, okay? The world is huge, okay? And, you know, officially almost 8 billion, something like that. So you're in this world of these billions of people, and maybe you are trying so hard to say something to them, or maybe you want them to support you, maybe you're trying to like be bossy and play the big game, you want to like ride the big truck, but like in this little private universe, there's like a Crowded House song. Crowded House is a band. I think they like sing about the private universe, and that song always strikes me how true it is. You know, Crowded House. I'm just gonna stop this for a while. Okay, Crowded House, the band from New Zealand / Australia. They have a really profound, meaningful bass that is very Leo. Listen to their stuff. This is really 90s stuff. Like, bring it back now. Crowded House. Take a look. Really nice. Okay, these people really know their life. They really know what life is. And they really relay in a very simple, they're 4 seasons in one day, that's their song. They relay their really, 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 really special gifts in their music, and they're singing about like their moms and dads, like they're singing about the most boring lives, basic things, but they are winners because they're real, they're truthful, and they're always done what they wanted to do. Unlike a lot of other singer-songwriters that kind of like caved under the pressure of the societal world, they could not be broken down. So this is just one of those things. Private universe. There's like a lyrics, something about the private universe. That's a very, very nice image. You know, that's a very, very nice fortune for Leos at large. You know, your private universe. And then eventually that starts to grow, and it grows much bigger than anything ever in your life. So you're starting with a little raft, you know, starting with a tiny little project, or you're starting with like a no-name brand, you know, like nothing, starting with nothing. And then at the end of the year, or even years, you know, maybe it could take you 6 years, like up to 6 years, to maybe pretend it doesn't work, and not love it enough, and love it, and not love it, love it, not love it, not know. And it starts to grow because you love, you know, in the end, you love. Something about it is natural for you. So your potential is right for something, maybe not very, very customary for other people, but then it starts to grow. And then once it has grown over a certain level, it makes no sense to be in the previous world. So your little private universe has the fantasy of a lifetime. So do what you know you love. So that's the thing. It's like you can just basically bust free from all of this. I mean, I'm seeing a lot of stuff for you guys. Executive stuff, trying so hard, thinking about it, you know, like I don't want to mess it up. And also, if you are a mindy Leo and you're like, okay, wait a minute, what am I going to do? I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. I'm not going to do this, I'm going to do that. Okay, that's how power works around here. That's what power is around here. You can still get somewhere. So, you know, if you are trying to dress for a cause, if you're trying to be a certain mister, you know, you're trying to be a certain madam, and you want to make sure that you fit, and that you fit, and then you get the prize, that you get the certificate, that can also bring you somewhere. That could, and it still does. If you want to do this, like I've got a certificate, I'm a miss or a mister, I'm doing this. That is also good. But you see how hard that could be, like how hard that is. If you are really, really in love with your life, why would you ever put yourself through that? Why would you ever not love yourself that much? You know, why would you ever care for yourself to create a story that doesn't really bring you up? It just makes you contract inside but grow outside. Look, I'm wearing a suit, like my heart is dying, but you know, I'm in a nice car today, it was good. I ate some pork sandwich and, I don't know, chugged down some coffee, I'm fine. There is something that is really needed right now as well, so I kind of feel this for you as well. There are some people that know you from someplace else. For example, you end up at an office, people remember you, they know you, and maybe you don't want to be yourself yet, you don't want to open up your greater potential, but they just feel you. And that's also hard, you know, they're like also in the cage with you, or they're part of that cage, you know. So if you are caged, how do you know that you're caged? Heart is heavy, you know, you get another client, you're like, oh my god, you know, you get another thing, call out, you're like, oh my god, you know, you talk to your woman, or your man, whoever, you know, you live with, and you're like, oh my god, okay, oh my god, you know, that, oh my god, you know, it's almost like a seismic warfare. It's like my body just doesn't even like this, you know. If you have anything going on inside that is the truth, it might have a physical effect. I already talked about this, like your body just starts sweating, you're going red, you want to go, you are asleep, somebody's talking, you don't even remember what they're saying. All of this is a part of that which you don't want to do. And even if you psych yourself out of that and you say, no, this is what I'm going to do, sometimes it is just not there. So please only do what you really want to do. You know, maybe it's important to talk out loud about what that might be. Maybe you only want to be with that other person. Maybe you only want to do that other thing. Maybe you only want to participate in that special dream. Maybe you can't keep on just kind of, sort of like, like you're gonna going. You can't go that way. And also a lot of issues in the heart and the spleen. If you don't take care of yourself, spleen. And the ovaries and the thyroid and the testes and organs, masculine organs, everything like that basically ends when you know where you've got that gush of fresh air and you just love it. Why don't you just do what you love? I don't know. Why don't you just do what you love? And then that becomes the main theme. As many times a day as you can, do what you love. As many times a day as you can. And it could be something like, okay, I love going to the forest and I love wearing my big boots and I just love smelling the trees. Smell the tree, go. Anytime you can. Even if your wife is like, where have you been? Even if your children are like, Daddy, what's going on? Go to the woods. Even if they don't yet have the maturity or the resonance with you. Even if your job doesn't want you there. Even if some people are like, oh, what a weirdo. Like, even if people don't love you for it, seemingly, or decide to switch off. It's like they got a little key and they just switch off their energy. They don't want to be around you. When someone doesn't like you for what you want to do, that's who they are at the moment or forever. And they have to also learn about that. And why can't they help you? So for example, if you suddenly understand, like you're gay, for example, and you're still in the family, you still have your children and everything, but you would be so much more wonderful with a man, for example, or you just don't want to participate in this type of thing. You can't. It's like you can't relate, especially if your eyes are closing. Like you're like, I don't know, why am I here? It's a very important vision for you to maybe have a look at later, like what would you be there in 5 or 6 years' time? Make sure that you're not wasting anybody else's life as well. So, for example, you are in a marriage and you're only cosmetically kind of there and you don't really feel seen at all. But at the same time, you're kind of like going for it. Like you're going for it, it's fun. But in your heart, you're looking for someone else. And you keep on looking anywhere you can for something else. And it's not even conscious, it's on a biological level. Let yourself go. So it's like, don't trust it if you are escaping it in the flesh, if your flesh is escaping it. And there are like lots of people that don't want to maybe know you or help you just because of this fire, because the king has to be king. Even if it is on a tiny plot of land, even if it is on a raft, even if it is just playing squash, even if it is with just one little thing that you've done, even if it is like cooking, or even if it is sleeping, you're a king of something, or a queen. So you have a knightly or like a royal, regal, you have a very, very, very good purpose. You have a really, really, really good sense of stability on a certain tiny little platform, and it doesn't have to be that big to make sense to you at the moment. But in the end, as we go into the end of the year and we're facing October month, you're going to go for it. So there is something that is going to be. So imagine, previous example, wife doesn't work, kids don't work, home don't work, work don't work, but squash, really good at squash. Imagine you just have your squash racket in the end and your wife leaves you and everything is for her. And how sad is this feeling? I just have my squash racket and that's all I got. Even if it is sad, now is the time not to be sad. You will be left behind with only that one thing anyway. So as October, November comes, you have to understand, anything you're playing with, anything that is not fully up your alley, anything that is not relevant for your lifetime, anybody or anything that is lying, cheating, taking your time, not true, everything that is not working, all of it that is just playing a little game, anything that is just kind of sad for you at the end of the day, if you imagine yourself 6 years on still with those structures, is going to eventually somehow become either meaningless and you've got to let it go, or there's going to be another person in your way, or there's going to be just a natural disintegration, or it spits you out. So you have a sure notice of this. So this is one of the greatest things about you during this year. You don't really have to be like stuck naked anywhere. So you probably had a build-up before that fight. You probably knew what was going on before the market crash. You probably knew what was going to be at your job before you got fired. You probably realized it. And that's the luckiest thing for us. So we don't just get teared up. You know, we don't get torn. You know, some people will, but you might not. You know, because you have a lot of conscious connection maybe to who you are inside. Maybe there is a holy little universe growing inside of you. And for that reason, there is not going to be that sad dimension or that real big soul, like hollow, like scream feeling that sometimes makes itself for other people. This is what people write about, this is what they blog about, this is what they make movies about, this is what they sing about. They love it. They love telling the story of life ripping people apart. It never really does. It never could. So like the main thing basically now is to reveal to yourself why you're so afraid. There are no stories like that in the world. Yeah, even like a person that walked along and stepped on a mine isn't for no reason. There was a build-up. There is an energetic build-up to anything. Any car accidents, I'm sorry, it's the dark. Any fires, any flames, any health issues, anything has a build-up. So here you have a large, long type of build-up to a certain climax or crisis point for some Leos, but there's going to have to be an understanding of what it was in you that was a fool that couldn't see the forest for the trees before everything happened. And the main reason why it doesn't work for a lot of us doing what we're doing, or like swallowing the pills we're swallowing, or making things that we're making, is because we don't really want to, but we're still doing it. We don't like it, but we're still kind of there. We don't even want to see the movie, and we're still kind of sort of dozing through it if you know it. If you fall asleep at the wheel, if you try and you understand, you kind of say. If you don't, if you muffle. Crispness is what you want, and crispness comes from inside. And the crispest Leo wins. Even if nobody's watching you, even if nobody knows you're doing it, if you are crisp and clear when you speak, when you're crisp and clear when you work, when you're crisp and clear with what you love, that's going to pay you later. It's going to pay you later. So this is the thing that other people don't want you to see right now, maybe because of how humble they are at the moment. There is a payment plan prepared for you, for your life. Even if you're doing something foolish and annoying, there are going to be payments, and also bad ones as well. It's just important to see if you are good in it, if you are hearty in it, if you are caring for it, if you are living through it, if you are correct within it, if you are feeling good about it, payments. Okay, so that's probably the last thing I gotta say. So don't worry, even your little drawings, even your foolish little crazy things, if they have a strong edge, if they are strong in you, they will know their way in the world. Things will finalize, things will complete, and a lot of what you wanted will be. So that's the thing, Leo. Please don't be afraid of your heart problems, and also of your heart excitement, of your heartiness, because it is all going to make sense. The heart won't lie this year anymore. It won't be as easy to mask as it was last few years, and it will be very, very obvious later on as we come to the change of tides. Thank you very much. I hope that you enjoy this here. If you want, you can get a book for it. I've got a little book in the caption below. There is a link to the book 2022 Year of the Water Tiger. It is a manual for the year. So I predict the year, the month, and all the star signs for the month, all the star signs, and also like all the stuff about the different conjunctions. I got little pictures in there I drew a while ago. And also, if you want, you can check out my website if you like. You can have a look at my blog. There's nothing there probably right now, but I will be updating it. And also, yes, be a friend of my channel if you like. Have a look at my Patreon and such. Thank you very much. Enjoy, and I will see you next time.